Chapter 2474. Happy days always passed so quickly. Unknowingly, time passed by very quickly. Tiantian's steps became more and more stable. The little girl seemed to like Mu Lianfeng very much. She clung to Mu Lianfeng every day. However, this little girl was very smart. Although she was not very old, she could say some simple words. The two words, "Daddy," came out of her mouth. Her childish voice was very playful and cute. Daodu was not as playful as before. Under Mu Lianfeng's guidance, he learned to read and recognize words every day with Xiao Tianfu. Half a day was used to study, and the other half was used to play. Although Mu Lianfeng was a little strict with Daodu, Xiao Yun knew that this was for Daodu's good. Children could play, but they could not neglect their studies because of this. It was a good thing to learn more from a young age. When they grew up, their ability to accept things would not be as good as when they were young. Although they did not expect to be successful and pass the imperial examinations, they could understand more by reading more. Children should learn more useful things. Many of the villagers in the village were uncouth and rude. Most of the time, they did not study much and were uncultured. Some things could not be understood. When one's vision was limited, there were many things that one couldn't see clearly. Daodu and Xiao Tianfu were considered smart children. When it came to learning, Mu Lianfeng was very easy to understand, and they could recognize more and more words. Originally, Xiao Yun wanted the two children to go to school to learn, but there was no school in the village. It would be more troublesome to send the children there. So she let Mu Lianfeng come over to teach. Anyway, Mu Lianfeng did not have any major matters to deal with in the village every day. He was basically very free. Mu Lianfeng could be considered to be well-read. He was even better than the teachers in the school. It was more than enough to teach the children. Mu Lan's children had also reached the age of learning. They would come over to listen to the lessons with Daodu and Xiao Tianfu. They could more or less learn something. Even Zhao Tianan was willing to follow behind Mu Lianfeng and learn a few words when he was not busy with farm work. Previously, because old Zhao's family was too poor, not all of the children in the family could go to school. Zhao Tianan had also thought of studying. Just like Zhao Tianlong, he relied on studying to make a name for himself. Unfortunately, his family did not have the money. Even if he had this thought, he would not voice it out. Now that he was old, he had long missed the opportunity to learn. He could only give up on the idea of becoming outstanding through studying. However, this didn't stop him from wanting to recognize a few more words. Over at Yili's place, preparations for the new house were also underway. He still had a lot of money in his hands. It was more than enough to build a house. The fields in the village were relatively easy to purchase. Yili spent less than 2 taels of silver to buy a foundation next to her house. Because Yili did not have much experience in building a house, the matter of building a house was entrusted to Zhao Yun's family. The bricklayers and workers that Zhao Yun's family had hired to build the house were quickly found. This time, Yili did not ask for a big house. 3 or 4 rooms were enough. A few houses were built in 20 days. With the help of Zhao Yun and her family, they also built a fenced courtyard for Yili. The courtyard was left at the foot of the mountain. It looked very quiet and beautiful against the forest. Chapter 2475. Yili looked at his new home. It wasn't very big, but it was very cozy. For Yili, the bigger the house, the better. The most important thing was that it was cozy and comfortable. A long time ago, he lived in a big house. The whole villa was very big, but he didn't like it. When he came back, he lived in Zhao Yun's small thatched cottage for a few days. Even in such a simple condition, he was still very happy to live there. Now his house was next door to Zhao Yun's house. He could see Zhao Yun every day in the future. It was naturally a happy thing to be neighbors with Zhao Yun. He didn't have to be with the girl he liked. It was actually a good choice to stay by her side for the rest of his life. When the house was just built, Anil stood in front of it and said happily, "This new house is so beautiful. It's small and exquisite. The most important thing is that I can live with Yili alone in the future." At that time, the two of them could live together in the same room. Perhaps there would be sparks of love between them. She had been living in Zhao Yun's house these days. Although Zhao Yun's house was quite big, it was crowded because there were too many people living in it. There were so many people around, and she wasn't shameless enough to sneak into Yili's room. However, it was different if she lived in Yili's new house. No matter how loud she made at night, Zhao Yun's family wouldn't hear it. Yili stood not far from Anil. Hearing what Anil said, the corners of his mouth twitched. He was a little displeased. "This is my house. It has nothing to do with you." Anil frowned at first, then forced a smile. She said shamelessly, "Yili, you can't say that. I put in a lot of effort when building this house. With my contribution, it naturally has something to do with me." He didn't seem to have asked her for help. He had even stopped her before. This woman really had the nerve to say that. Anil continued with a grin, "Yili, the new house is ready. Can we move in soon?" Yili glanced at Anil unhappily. "It's not just the two of us, it's just me." After being rejected so directly by Yili, Anil felt a little upset, but he continued shamelessly, "Yili, you must be lonely living in a room by yourself. Let me stay with you." "No need." Yili coldly rejected again. There were only him and Anil living in the same room. Who knew if this shameless woman was plotting something against him? Moreover, it was indeed not suitable for a man and a woman to be alone. If any rumors were to spread, it would be fine for him, but it would not be good for a girl. What if Anil claimed that her reputation was ruined and she couldn't get married? What could he do then? After thinking for a while, he decided that it was the best choice not to give Anil a chance to move in from the beginning. "Yili. Look at me. I'm an outsider after all. I've been staying in Yun's house for a long time. If I continue to stay here, I will feel embarrassed." Chapter 2476. Yili looked at Anil speechlessly. What was in her head? Why did she have so many excuses? Besides, he had clearly refused her several times, but Anil still said it shamelessly. For a girl to be so thick-skinned to this extent, it was really a bit amazing. Seeing that Yili was sullen and didn't say anything, Anil smiled and said, "Then it's decided happily." Then he ran away, so that Yili didn't even have a chance to refuse again. Yili built a new house this time, so Zhao Yun held a simple banquet. She didn't invite too many people, only old Zhao's family and a few more prestigious people in the village. Because Yili built a house in Shuilon village, it was equivalent to settling down in Shuilon village in the future. His family moved to Shuilon village, so he could be counted as a villager. There were still decades to come, so they had to build a good relationship with their neighbors. Therefore, Li Zheng and other prestigious people in the village had to be invited to the banquet. The banquet was simple. Only 2 tables were set up and some good dishes were prepared. It wasn't troublesome. It just so happened that old Zhao's family gathered together to have another meal. Now the other branches of old Zhao's family were living a better life. Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao also started to follow Liang Jinyu and her husband to raise pigs and expand the scale of their pig farm. The pig farm raised more pigs, so they earned more money. In this way, even if they didn't get a share, they would still get a lot of money. Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao both planned to buy a piece of land next to Zhao Yun's house and build a few brick houses. They would directly become neighbors with Zhao Yun. Old Zhao's house was too dilapidated after all. It was built with yellow mud, so it was easy to leak when it rained. Most importantly, the house was very low, so the light was not very good and it was full of a moldy smell. This brick house was different. It was much more spacious and bright. In the past, there was nothing he could do about it because he didn't have the money. Now that he was getting richer and had saved up some money, he would think about these other things. It didn't cost much to build a small house. As for Liang Jinyu and her husband, they felt that raising pigs would be a long-term job in the future. They estimated that they could raise them for the rest of their lives. The two of them had to stay in Shuilan village, but the children at home could not follow them. She decided to settle down in Shuilan village. Once she had a house, she could bring her children to live with her. It would save her the trouble of not being able to take good care of her children at home. When they arrived at Shuilan village, they would be able to take care of each other. When the children had nothing to do, they would come to the pigsty to help out, such as gathering pigweed. At the banquet in Yili's bridal chamber, old Zhao's family was in a very good mood. They drank a lot together and chatted happily. Zhao Yun listened carefully from the side and felt that it was somewhat interesting. Since she had just transmigrated, these people had changed a lot. Looking at the passage of time, some things seemed to have happened yesterday. God had let her experience a lot in this era. Fortunately, some of the people and things around her were developing in a good direction. Zhao Wenshui, who was a disgusting person in the past, had turned over a new leaf. With Zhao Wenshui's current conditions, although he couldn't continue to be with Li Chuiying, it wasn't difficult for him to marry another wife. Liang Jinxiao and Qian Zhenhua both asked the people in their family to help them find suitable women in their family's village. Chapter 2477. If he could find her, Zhao Wenshui would be able to marry another wife. At least he would have someone to accompany him for the rest of his life. After all, Zhao Wenshui was still young. If he had to spend the rest of his life on his own, he would be too lonely during the new year. It was already tough for a man to work outside. He wanted a virtuous wife to help him tidy up the house when he returned home. He didn't have to do anything big. She could cook, do the laundry, and chat with him. If it was in the past, no one would be willing to help him arrange a marriage with Zhao Wenshui. Any woman who married Zhao Wenshui would be a disaster. However, it was different now. Whoever married Zhao Wenshui was a very good choice. After the banquet was over, the people at the tables dispersed. In less than 2 days, Yili's custom-made furniture was delivered from Yang City. He finally moved out of Zhao Yun'er's house. Anil was very busy. Moving into Yili's new house today meant that she would be staying alone with Yili at night. It was an exciting thing. Yili's face darkened when he saw Anil moving things. He wanted to stop Anil. However, when he thought about how thick-skinned Anil was, he knew it was useless to say anything. This woman would definitely think of all sorts of ways to stay. He might as well let her be. Anyway, he just had to ignore her. What Yili didn't understand was why Anil still didn't give up after being scolded by him like this. Any girl who had a sense of shame would definitely be embarrassed. However, Anil was an exception. Logically speaking, Anil was the eldest princess. The royal family's etiquette and rules were more particular than ordinary people's. A princess's temper should be more reserved. However, Anil was completely different. Anil and Yili didn't have a lot of things, so they packed quickly. There were only a few sets of clothes. Previously, Zhao Yun'er had gone to Yang City to help buy some quilts. When they were moving things, she also helped to move them to Yili's new house. She had gone to Yang City to pick out some other furniture for the past few days. Therefore, Yili's house was basically not lacking in things. He had everything that he needed to buy and use. Anil grinned as he walked up to Yili and said to Yili, "Yili, although this house is a little small, it's still very cozy with just the two of us living here." Yili's mouth twitched. If you think it's too small, you can go back to the palace. The palace's rooms are big. My small temple can't accommodate a big Buddha like you. And Look pursed her lips, but this princess just likes this little temple of yours. Not only do we have to stay here for a while, we have to stay here for a lifetime. Yili didn't know what to say about Anil. Stay here for a lifetime. A high and mighty eldest princess, even if he didn't chase her away, the people in the palace wouldn't allow it. Yili estimated that Anil would be taken back in a few days. He just had to bear with it for now. He just had to bear with it for a while. So he calmly replied to Luan, up to you. Yili, are you willing to let me stay here for the rest of my life? Does that mean you've accepted me in your heart? You like me a little bit. Anil's face inched closer to Yili, scaring Yili so much that he quickly took a few steps back. Yili's expression darkened as he speechlessly replied, You shameless woman, what can I do if you insist on staying here? But that doesn't mean I accept you or like you. Besides being shameless, why do you like to flatter yourself? I really don't know how to be a girl. Chapter 2478. Anil was not disappointed by Yili's words. Although Yili didn't say anything to her, compared to before, Yili went from rejecting her and chasing her away to being willing to let her stay for the rest of her life. To a certain extent, this showed that Yili was slowly accepting her. She was getting closer and closer to success. She firmly believed that Yili would truly accept her one day. Anil gave a soft snort. You said it yourself, then I'll stay here for the rest of my life. I'll always bother you. Anyway, with me here, don't think about interacting with other women. If you don't marry me in this life and don't stay with me, then you'll be a bachelor for the rest of your life. Yili's face sunk. He didn't want to waste words with Anil, so he went into the room to pack his things. The new blankets had to be placed on the bed. He didn't have a wife, so this job fell on his head. Although Zhao Yun's women offered to help, they were rejected by Yili. He already troubled them enough, so he didn't want to add any more trouble. Although he was a man, he had hands and feet, so he could still do this kind of work. After a while, Yili neatly folded his blankets. In Anil's room, the blankets on the bed were a mess. During the time she was at Zhao Yun's home, it was always Zhao Yun's family helping her clean up. She wanted to clean it herself, but the bed was still a mess even after she cleaned it up, so she might as well not clean it up. As the eldest princess of the great Zhou country, she normally had servants to take care of her. These things were all done by the maids and she had never interfered before. Adding in the fact that she was weak, she couldn't even learn how to do simple things. Seeing Yili's bed, Anil called out in pleasant surprise, What, Yili, aren't you a bit too powerful? How could you make the bed this neat? Yili was startled by Anil's yelling. He thought something bad had happened, but he didn't expect that it was just because he had made the bed too neatly. Can you not make a fuss over nothing? Yili reminded Anil unwillingly. Yili, how am I making a fuss over nothing? You're the one who's really amazing. You're a grown man, yet you can make the bed so neat. You're really amazing. Unlike me, it's a mess like a dog's nest. You're a girl, and you don't even know how to make a bed. You still have the nerve to say that you'll pour it out. Don't you think this is an honor? Yili looked at Anil speechlessly. Just because she was the eldest princess, she didn't act like a girl. This woman was definitely spoiled. Some things weren't too difficult and could be learned with just a little learning. However, she was so stupid that she couldn't learn even a little. Anil gave a laugh. She wasn't angry and said, Yili, how am I embarrassed? I just want to use my lack of knowledge to show off how amazing you are. Really, I'm worshipping you more and more. The man that Anil fancy is different. Anil, look at me. I can't make my bed no matter what. You made it so neat, how about you help me make my bed too? Anil looked at Yili with a pleading look. If Yili could help her make her bed, she would be able to sleep on Yili's blanket at night. That would be a very happy thing. Chapter 2479. I know. Of course, you have no obligation to help me. I don't see you as a servant either. I'm just asking for your help. Can you do me a favor and help me make the bed? Otherwise, I'll have to sleep on this doghouse bed tonight. Anil said with a pleading look in her eyes. Yili didn't even look at Anil before rejecting her. Do your own thing. Anil sighed. All right. If you don't want to, then forget it. I'm going to look for Miss Yuner now. I can only ask Miss Yuner to help me make the bed. Anil was about to walk out of the door as she spoke. She knew that Yili was still thinking about Zhao Yuner. If she used Zhao Yuner's incident as an excuse, Yili would definitely agree. As expected, before Anil could walk out of the room, Yili hurriedly called out to Anil. Wait a minute. Anil turned around with a grin and asked, What's the matter? I'll help you make the bed. You don't have to trouble Yuner anymore. Yili's heart ached for Zhao Yuner. He knew that Zhao Yuner was very busy every day. She also had to take care of 2 children. She was already very busy and tired. She didn't want to trouble Zhao Yuner with such a small matter. That was why he stopped Anil. He could do this small matter and save Zhao Yuner the trouble of coming over again. Anil got what she wanted. She pretended to be unhappy and said, All right then. Since you said so, I won't trouble Miss Yuner anymore. Yili, hurry up and help me make the bed. Okay. Yili responded calmly. Then he walked into Anil's room and started to tidy up the bedding on the bed. Anil stood by the side, resting his chin on his hand as he admired the way Yili worked. His gaze was focused and serious, and his body revealed an extremely charming temperament. Anil became more and more obsessed. Why was Yili so good-looking? She had seen many handsome young masters in the capital, but it was rare to see someone as charming as Yili. Sigh, it was a pity that Yili didn't like her. Otherwise, she would be so happy to be with such a man. Yili was very busy. It didn't take long for him to make Anil's bed. Done. Yili said calmly. Anil couldn't wait to sleep on the bed that Yili had made for her. In a moment of excitement, Anil rushed towards the bed and accidentally tripped. Together with Yili, he fell onto the bed. The 2 of them were suddenly pressed against each other and had intimate contact. Anil's lips accidentally brushed against Yili's face. It was the first time their faces were so close. They could even smell each other's breath. Anil's heart was thumping wildly. She couldn't stop blinking as she stared at Yili. Oh my God. Was she dreaming? She actually pressed down on Yili. She couldn't believe it. She felt like she was in a dream. Under normal circumstances, Anil wouldn't dare to act so intimately with Yili. Yili would definitely kill her. Today, it was a freak combination of factors that made him fall on Yili by accident. Yili was also caught off guard by this accident. The 2 soft lumps on Anil's chest gave him a very strange feeling. Anil was very close to him. He could even smell the faint feminine scent coming from Anil's body. It was also Yili's first time being so intimate with a girl. His ears immediately turned red and his neck turned red. Chapter 2480. Oh. Anil froze for a few seconds before she came to her senses and got off Yili's body. Just like Yili, Anil's face was flushed red. Although she was usually a little thick-skinned, she was still a girl after all. When it came to this kind of thing, she couldn't help but feel a little shy. Especially when she was facing the man she liked the most. The two of them were so intimate for the first time. It was as if they had done something shameful. The bed isn't good anymore. If there's nothing else, don't disturb me, Yili said and hurriedly left Annel's room. Annel sat on the bed and couldn't help but pat her cheeks. It hurt a little. This meant that she wasn't dreaming. Oh my God. Everything that happened just now was real. She really pinned Yili down. After the shyness, Annel's heart was filled with endless excitement and excitement. It was as if she had done something very happy and worth celebrating. Yili, on the other hand, wanted to escape as quickly as possible. He wanted to get as far away from Annel as possible. Damn it. Why did he feel that the faint feminine scent on Annel's body was very pleasant for a moment just now? On the other hand, after Zhao Yuner helped Yili and Annel move their things, she brought the two children to play in the courtyard. Zhao Yuner made a small ball and had Tian Tian throw it. She trained little Hei to pick it up. Every time little Hei picked up the ball that Tian Tian threw, Tian Tian would giggle happily. She had to admit that little Hei was very smart. When Zhao Yuner said something, little Hei understood and did as she instructed. After playing for a while, Zhao Yuner suddenly felt a little stuffy in her chest. She felt like vomiting. Ugh, Zhao Yuner covered her chest and couldn't help but retch. Mu Lianfeng saw this and quickly went forward to ask, Yuner, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Should I call Dr. Sun over to take a look? Zhao Yuner waved her hand and chuckled. It's nothing. I just feel a little nauseous. There's no need to make a fuss. Mu Lianfeng frowned and said seriously, even if you feel a little uncomfortable, you can't slack off. It's better to ask Dr. Sun to take a look. Only then can I rest assured. Zhao Yuner guessed that she had caught a cold, so she felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to vomit. However, in order to reassure Mu Lianfeng, he still agreed to let Dr. Sun come over to take a look. Anyway, it was not troublesome. Zhao Tianfu led Dao to Dr. Sun's house, and Dr. Sun quickly rushed over. After checking her pulse, Dr. Sun smiled and said to Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng, Yuner's body is fine. That's good. Mu Lianfeng was relieved. But what? But congratulations to the two of you. Yuner is pregnant. She has been pregnant for more than a month. Ah. Zhao Yuner opened her mouth in surprise. She was pregnant. This was too sudden. In fact, except for the night when Mu Lianfeng first came back, Zhao Yuner indulged a little and let Mu Lianfeng into her body. She had been careful and paid attention to contraception. However, she did not expect that because of that one time, she would have a child so soon. At this time, Zhao Yuner's mood was very complicated. She was naturally happy to have a child that was really her and Mu Lianfeng's child. Although Daodu was also her child, strictly speaking, he was an indigenous person. She had not experienced pregnancy for 10 months and then a difficult delivery. She had not experienced the fruit of her and Mu Lianfeng's love. Chapter 2481. But while he was happy, he couldn't help but worry. She was pregnant now. If she gave birth so soon, who would take care of her at home? Mu Hin was also about to give birth. She needed more people to take care of her and serve her during her confinement. Although Liang Jinqiao had given birth, Zhao Yun's little sister was still young and needed more people to take care of her. If she gave birth to a child now, I'm afraid that when there are more children at home, I'll be very busy. Seeing that Zhao Yun was not in a good mood and there was a touch of worry in her eyes, Mu Lianfeng asked with concern, Yun, what's wrong? Aren't you happy that we have a child? Or do you not want this child? Zhao Yun shook her head and a helpless smile appeared on her lips. Of course I'm happy to have a child, but I just feel that it's not the right time to have a child. There are many children at home these 2 days. I'm afraid that I won't be able to cope. Mu Lianfeng took Zhao Yun's hand and comforted her with a smile. Yun, if you're too busy, I'll hire a maid. She'll definitely take good care of our family. Although Zhao Yun didn't want to be served, Mu Lianfeng's idea was still feasible. Just like in the 21st century, there were not enough people at home to hire some aunts and nannies to help take care of the family. Okay. Zhao Yun nodded in response. Yun, it's great to have another child with you. Mu Lianfeng held Zhao Yun's hand tightly and was so excited that he couldn't let go. The first time when Zhao Yun gave birth, he couldn't be by her side and didn't take good care of his own child. This time was different. He could accompany Zhao Yun and take good care of her during the whole process. Dr. Sun said with a smile, Yun, you can eat more nourishing things and work less. Your body is still weak. After being pregnant, you have to pay attention to your body's health. Don't be too negligent. It's not good for the child in your belly. Alright, Dr. Sun, I got it. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Dr. Sun picked up his medicine box and stood up to leave. Dr. Sun, take care. When old Zhao's family heard that Zhao Yun was pregnant, they were all happy for Zhao Yun. In ancient times, the more children one had, the better. Especially those from wealthy families, having a house full of children and grandchildren was a blessing. There had been too many happy events in old Zhao's family recently, and the villagers began to talk about feng shui again. Many people in the village were renovating their ancestral tombs, hoping that one day they would be as lucky as old Zhao's family. Ever since Zhao Yun became pregnant, the whole family didn't dare to let her do any of the chores at home, fearing that something would happen to her. All the work that needed to be done was done by the men in the family. Tian, such a small child, suddenly became sensible. She no longer came to disturb Zhao Yun and let Daodu and Mu Lianfeng take care of her. Therefore, Zhao Yun was very leisurely during this period. However, Zhao Yun couldn't stay idle, so she didn't do anything. She had nothing to do every day, so she was very bored. In fact, her family didn't have to be so nervous at all. In the first few months of pregnancy, her belly wasn't big. As long as she didn't do any hard work and was too tired, nothing serious would happen. Many women in ancient times dragged their big bellies to work in the fields when they were close to giving birth. Previously, when Liang Jinqiao was pregnant, although she was nervous, she wasn't too nervous. The most inconvenient thing about being pregnant was when she slept with Mu Lianfeng at night. Chapter 2482. But after a few days, he couldn't hold it in anymore. The two of them lay flat on the bed. Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but lean towards Zhao Yun. Then, he turned over and hugged Zhao Yun in his arms. He couldn't help but rub his face against Zhao Yun's neck and whispered in Zhao Yun's ear, Yun, I can't hold it in anymore. Mu Lianfeng was a normal man. In addition, he was young and impetuous, so he had more desire. The woman he liked was in his arms, so it was difficult for him to hold it in. Zhao Yun quickly pushed Mu Lianfeng away and stopped Mu Lianfeng's behavior. No. Yun, why? Don't you know that women can't have sex after they're pregnant? Mu Lianfeng frowned and replied, I know, but I thought it was just that you can't have sex after you're pregnant. Now that your belly is still small, it can't be seen. It should be fine, Zhao Yun then explained to Mu Lianfeng. After a woman was pregnant, she couldn't have sex for the first 3 months and the second 3 months. Although it was fine for the first few months, it was safer to have sex. Of course, for ordinary people, it was indeed very difficult for a normal man and woman to have sex for 10 months. In addition, during confinement to recuperate, they couldn't have sex for a year. This was a very painful and torturous period, but for the sake of the child in her belly, she could only endure it. After hearing Zhao Yun's words, Even if Mu Lianfeng's desire was very strong, he still restrained himself for Zhao Yuner and the child. Okay, Yuner, I got it. Don't worry. I won't touch you if you can't. As Mu Lianfeng spoke, he hugged Zhao Yuner and gently planted a kiss on Zhao Yuner's forehead. He placed one hand on Zhao Yuner's belly and gently stroked it, feeling the little life in Zhao Yuner's belly. Unfortunately, the child was only a month old. It was too young to feel anything. Mu Lianfeng could only close his eyes and imagine what the child in Zhao Yuner's belly would be like when it was born. Mu Lianfeng hoped that the child could be as pure and beautiful as Zhao Yuner. Yuner, do you think it's better for us to have a boy or a baby girl? Mu Lianfeng asked with a smile. Zhao Yuner thought for a moment, boys and girls are good. But we're already having a boy, it's better if we have a girl. It's only good if we have both a boy and a girl. Mu Lianfeng nodded in agreement. I also think it's better to have a girl. A daughter is the most considerate child of her parents. It's good if the girl can be as cute and sensible as Tian Tian. Yeah. Ha. Go to sleep. You have to sleep more. It's good for the child in your belly if you sleep well. Okay. The two of them snuggled together and soon fell asleep. On the other end, Anil had just fallen asleep when he heard a scream from Yili's room. Anil was so scared that he didn't even put on his shoes. He rushed into Yili's room to see what was wrong with Yili. He saw Yili sitting on the bed with a layer of sweat on his forehead. Under the moonlight coming through the window, his face was pale. Anil rushed to Yili and asked, Yili, what's wrong? What happened? Why do you look so pale? Faced with Anil's concern, Yili had a strange feeling in his heart. However, on the surface, he replied calmly, it's none of your business. Don't ask. Chapter 2483. I told you, you don't have to care about my business. We have nothing to do with each other. Yili still looked at Anil coldly. No, I want to care. Yili, I'm telling you, I'm definitely going to care about your business. I'm going to rely on you for the rest of my life. Let's see what you can do about it. Anil acted shamelessly. You. Before Yili could teach Anil a lesson, he felt a sudden pain in his forehead. He rubbed his temples in pain and closed his eyes. He felt terrible. Anil panicked when she saw this. She immediately asked anxiously, Yili, don't scare me. What's wrong with you? Sob, sob, sob. Don't scare me. Can you talk to me and tell me what's wrong? Anil was startled by Yili's movement and started crying. Yili suddenly felt bad when he heard Anil's crying. I'm fine. He replied in a weak voice. How can you say that you're fine? Who are you trying to fool? Sob, sob, sob. Where am I going to find a doctor for you in the middle of the night? Anil couldn't help but wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes. She felt even more sorry for Yili. This is an old problem. No doctor can cure it. Don't even think about it. Then what are you going to do? Was she going to just stand by and watch Yili continue to suffer? Seeing Yili like this, Anil felt even more pain than when she was injured. She wished that she was the one suffering this pain instead of Yili. Yili. Anil sniffled. She went up to Yili and hugged Yili. She hoped that her hug could bring some comfort to Yili and let Yili know that she cared about him. It was Anil's embrace that soothed Yili's pain. It was the first time he had been hugged like this. If it were any other day, he would have pushed Anil away. But this time, he did not. He enjoyed the warmth of this embrace, and his heart gradually calmed down. Yili thought he must be crazy. Why was he unable to resist Anil's embrace? Yili reached out and hugged Anil. All of this surprised Anil too much. He was stunned for a moment before his entire body stiffened. She expected Yili to push her away. However, not only did Yili not push her away, he even returned her hug. Anil thought that she must be dreaming, so he reached out and pinched her cheek hard. Immediately, she felt a sharp pain on her face. The pain made her realize that she wasn't dreaming. Yili really hugged her. Did this mean that Yili had accepted her? Actually, he didn't dislike her that much, right? She could feel the happiness of getting along with Yili these days. Although Yili was still cold to her on the surface, she actually cared about her. She didn't resist like at the beginning. That. Yili, I really like you. If you want to hug me, you can hug me anytime. Hee hee. Anyway, I'm depending on you for the rest of my life. Now that you're hugging me, you have to take responsibility. Anil mumbled. Yili did not reply. He just hugged Anil's hand reluctantly. His heart told him that he shouldn't do this, but his body gave another response. Chapter 2484. In the next few months, life became more and more comfortable. Mu Lianfeng hired a few servant girls to take care of Zhao Yun's daily life, so they were not so busy. Zhao Yun's belly became bigger because of her pregnancy. By the time she was 8 or 9 months pregnant, it was very inconvenient for her to move around. However, Zhao Yun knew that she could not sit for long after she was pregnant. She had to exercise from time to time, so that it would be easier for her to give birth. Estimating the expected date of delivery, the family had already arranged for a midwife in advance, waiting for the day of delivery after the full term. For some reason, Zhao Yun's belly was bigger than the average person's. Several sisters-in-law of old Zhao's family gathered together, staring at Zhao Yun's belly and discussing curiously. Yun's belly is really bigger than the average person's. Yes. It's too big. I reckon that the child in her belly will be very big when it's born. It should be a big fat boy. Definitely. With such a big belly, it must be a son. Zhao Yun touched her belly and could not help but laugh. People in ancient times valued boys over girls and wanted a son, but she did not. Sigh, but fate made fools of people. The more you think about it, the less you think about it. She wanted to give birth to a daughter, but she did not have a daughter. At this time, Tiantian's walking was very nimble. This child was smart, which meant that she could also speak a few sentences, so communication was not a problem. Tian was like a little rabbit, skipping over to Zhao Yun. She touched Zhao Yun's belly with her little hand and giggled. Then, she pointed at Zhao Yun's belly and said, younger sister, old Zhao's sisters-in-law, who was standing nearby, reminded her, little girl, what younger sister? It's a younger brother. Tian pouted and said unhappily, Tian wants a younger sister, not a younger brother. Ha! Zhao Yun was amused and asked Tian, why does Tian want a younger sister and not a younger brother? Tian wants a younger sister. Mother will give birth to a younger sister, okay? Ha! Good. Zhao Yun patted Tiantian's head and replied with a doting tone. Dowdy stood up and said, Mother, Dowdy likes little brother. Mother should give birth to a younger brother. Zhao Yun shook her head. One of you wants a younger brother, and the other wants a younger sister. Niangqin can't give birth to twins all of a sudden, and let you have a younger brother and a younger sister, right? Then whether mother gives birth to a younger brother or a younger sister, Dowdy will like them both. Dowdy replied sensibly. That's right. No matter if it's a younger brother or a younger sister, they're still your brothers and sisters. As older brothers and sisters, you have to take care of your younger siblings in the future, okay? Yes. The two children nodded very sensibly. Dowda stepped forward and looked at Xiao Yuner with pleading eyes. Mother, can Dowda touch the little brother in mother's stomach? Listen to his voice like father. Of course. Hee. Dowda happily came forward and pressed his ear against Xiao Yuner's stomach. After feeling a slight movement, Dowda excitedly shouted, Mother, little brother is moving. Ha! Mother, when can Dowda see little brother? Soon. In 1 or 2 months. Dowda wants to see him immediately. Dowda's eyes shone brightly with anticipation. Chapter 2485. Everything is going well. For Xiao Yuner, who had no experience in childbirth, giving birth was indeed a very painful process. Only by personally experiencing it could she truly understand that kind of pain. Perhaps it was because the baby in her belly was too big, but Xiao Yuner had a lot of trouble giving birth. A layer of sweat beaded on her forehead because of the pain. In ancient times, the delivery room was an inauspicious place because seeing blood could bring bad luck. Under normal circumstances, men were not allowed to enter. But Mu Lianfeng did not care so much and insisted on staying by Xiao Yuner's side. After several hours of labor, she finally gave birth to a child. The midwife joyfully said to Mu Lianfeng, Congratulations, Lord Heir, it's a boy. In the future, there will be another young master at home. Just as she finished speaking, the midwife realized that something was wrong and started muttering again, No, there's another one in the belly. As she spoke, the midwife put down the child and continued to deliver. After that, Xiao Yuner continued to give birth to a girl. The busy people in the delivery room hurriedly helped to wash the 2 babies. The midwife grinned from ear to ear. Lord Heir and Lord Heir Consort are really blessed. You actually gave birth to a boy and a girl. This old woman has never seen such a thing in all these years of delivering babies. A boy and a girl were auspicious. It was an auspicious sign. Xiao Yuner gave birth to a boy and a girl at once. Everyone in the family was overjoyed when they heard this. Mu Lianfeng was also excited. Looking at the weak Xiao Yuner, he gently kissed Xiao Yuner's head and said, Yuner, did you hear that? We gave birth to a boy and a girl. At this moment, Xiao Yuner was very weak, but she was also very happy when she heard that she gave birth to a boy and a girl. The midwife brought the 2 babies to Xiao Yuner and let Xiao Yuner see the 2 babies' appearances. The babies were wrinkled when they were born, but it could be vaguely seen that the children's facial features were very handsome. They would definitely be very good-looking when they grew up. The moment she saw the child, Xiao Yuner suddenly felt that all the pain she had suffered was worth it. Yuner. Thank you for your hard work. In the future, we will always protect you. Mu Lianfeng held Xiao Yuner's hand tightly and promised. Time flew by. In the following days, Mu Lianfeng fulfilled her promise, just as she had said. The whole family stayed together. Although they lived a simple life in the countryside, they felt a happiness that they had never felt before. Meanwhile, everything around them was getting better. Xiao Yuner's tea business was getting bigger and bigger. Most of the business was slowly handed over to Mu Lan's family and Mu Hin and Zhao Tianan to manage. After a few years, they had planted more tea leaves on several mountains. The business of raising pigs was also doing well. At least, their family members did not have to worry about food and clothing. Because they no longer had to worry about survival, Xiao Yuner spent most of her time with her family, assisting her husband and teaching her children. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. The 2 children had already learned how to talk and walk. They would not stop being naughty every day. Fortunately, there were many people in the family. Many people took care of them, so they were not too tired. Mother, Xiao Yuner had only been gone for an hour. The two children immediately ran over when they saw her. They opened their little arms and asked for a hug. Zhao Yun'er could only hug one child on each side. Anil saw this and said sadly, "Sigh, these two little ingrates. I've been taking care of them for so long, but they're still not close to me. They're only talking about how good their mother is." Zhao Yun'er smiled and replied, "Princess Royal, then you should give birth to one yourself. Only a biological one is close." Anil thought about it and nodded in agreement. Yun'er is right. A biological one is good. I want to give birth to one too. Then she turned to Yili and said, "Yili, can I help you give birth to a monkey too?" "No." Yili shook his head. "No, no. Let's give birth to one too. I don't care. I'm sticking to you. I want to give birth to a monkey for you." Anil clung on to Yili. Yili quickly turned around to escape. But the moment he turned around, he smiled. It was as bright, happy, and warm as the sun in the sky. The ending. Everyone is living a happy and wonderful life. I hope everyone's life will have a happy ending. I've been writing this book for more than a year. Thank you for your company for more than a year. I'm really grateful for everyone's support. If you want to continue reading, you can take a look at my other works. It's a farming novel of the same genre. Beautiful Peasant Girl, Picking a General to Farm, is a free monthly subscription. Monthly subscribers can support it. My new book, Fierce Wife Farming, The Man in the Mountains Dotes on Endlessly. Although I can't bear to part with this book, I still want to say goodbye to everyone today. End of chapter. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.